I want to talk about possible MLB expansion and relocation of some teams. So, the first expansion city I want to talk about is Raleigh, North Carolina. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, Adam, Raleigh, North Carolina is not on top of anyone's list. Why would that be considered? Well, think about it. North Carolina has never had an MLB team. Um, the Hurricanes have succeeded very well um, in Raleigh specifically. And even though many people think that they play in Charlotte, they play in Raleigh, and you also have the Wolfpack of NC State, the baseball team there, and big turnout for a college baseball team. Just saying. So I think that you could still have a market there. Now, now your big metropolitan is in Charlotte. That is the key. So Charlotte may be a little bit more favorable. So, in regards to Charlotte, you have the Hornets, you have Charlotte FC, and you have the Carolina Panthers. All there. Carolina Panthers and Charlotte FC all play in one big stadium that is old, that needs to be refurbished. I don't think Charlotte's going to get it. However, their AAA baseball team, the Charlotte Knights, I think you could still build around that, and you could have a outfield standings similar to that of what you see in Japan. I think it's Koshin Stadium, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just like a long uphill stairways of just stands and seats, and they just like and they have like like 10,000, 15,000 seats all in the outfield. I might be over exaggerating, but I think that they should do something like that, and maybe you could work around the upper deck towards the home plate side and the third base side and the first base side, and you can also um, just get there, just get there too and refurbish the stadium and take the AAA baseball stadium and make it an MLB stadium. I know that might be, I mean, there's a cost to everything, but I think that would be cheaper than building out a new stadium. Plus, this is arguably one of the best AAA baseball stadiums out there. You can certainly build it up. I think that you would still probably fall around $500 million, but it's much cheaper than $1 billion, and you could certainly work around it and once again have those seats in the outfield similar to that of Japan uh, as well. And I think that's worth it. And if you have to also buy up some of that street nearby and behind it to do it, I think you should, assuming the MLB expands to Charlotte. Nashville. Now, oddly enough, Nashville almost got the Orioles with the Angelos family, and they just, man, and I think, and there was something with the governor, Wes Moore of Maryland, who saved it, and there was like funding behind it, so the Orioles never left. But oh my goodness, if the Orioles had left, I don't think I would have even talked about baseball ever again. They are my team, so the Orioles stayed. Now they do have the Nashville Sounds. They could, once again, I'm not sure if they could build up that stadium in Nashville, but I think I would not object to it, especially when you can save a few $100 million on a brand new stadium. There is some funding issues with Nashville. They need to build up the Titans venue, and if they can't do that with, they're like asking about $2 billion for the new Titans project. Um, they're not in the market for expansion, so I don't think that's the right thing at this time. Now, here's here's a big kicker. Omaha, Nebraska. The Kansas City Royals are the closest team to there, but you're still hundreds of miles away. you're not muscling in on anyone's territory over there. It's cornfield. It's nothing there. It's barely anything. And now they do have the college baseball tournament that's held there every year. There was a major league game there played, and they did sell out. But I think that Omaha could get a relocation team or a expansion team. Here's the thing with relocation. I think the Rays should move to Omaha, Nebraska. Now, Brody Brazil was talking about this earlier, I think about a few weeks ago, and I think that they should go there because of what happened with Hurricane Milton. I think it's been a little bit embarrassing that they have to go pay their AL East rivals, the New York Yankees, to go play in a single A baseball stadium. It's insulting. You could at least expand out and go there in Omaha, Nebraska. Now, you may only have 24,000 seats, but it's a lot more than the 12,000 you have at the Tampa Tarpons Stadium. It would be much better if they would have gone to Omaha and Rob Manfred just worked something out with the contracts uh, in regards to that. And and there's that as well. Sacramento, I did want to talk about Sacramento. The the A's are going to be playing at a AAA venue, and again, embarrassing. You're not at the Coliseum, or there's no stadium around it, and you're not in Vegas yet. But I think that they should have, you know, at least continued to stay in Oakland. And if they, and even if you have to refurbish the Coliseum and actually clean it up and actually get the dead rats out of there, it would have been better from an optical standpoint, in terms of how the leagues are, because it was embarrassing that the Arizona Coyotes were playing in a venue with only 4,000 people that was meant for the Sun Devils. It was that was embarrassing for the NHL. That should be an embarrassment. And it should be an embarrassment when you play in a AAA baseball stadium or a single A baseball stadium. I think Sacramento could work something out, however, but I think that they've just invented that Fisher, that corrupt businessman, has just invested too much into Vegas. So that would be the city they go to next. And it looks like the Sydney Opera House, and you're going to be paying $2 billion on an MLB stadium. You cannot back out of that. So Vegas is going to be the relocation city, but would Sacramento possibly get one? Probably not. In addition to Oakland. So there's that. Portland, let's go a little north. I think that this city could certainly handle it, but I think that it's just too much. You have Seattle right there in the Pacific Northwest, and they're going to be voting against it to bring in a team there, which is why I don't think ever see that happening over there in Portland, because Seattle's just too close. And the Athletics were the closest, and they still are the closest rival to the Mariners, but I think that if any team was going to go there, it was going to be the Athletics, but they're not. But Fisher was not interested. He was into Vegas, and he's just going to Sacramento, barely a little north and barely out of the Bay Area, just so he could get his deal. And because he's a very corrupt man, and we hate him, and he's the worst owner in sports at the moment. Ooh, Orlando. Let's talk Orlando real quickly. I think that Orlando could be a great relocation if the Rays want to stay in Florida. I think they need to get off that little island of St. Petersburg, and they need to play in the actual heart of Florida, and they need to go to Orlando. And they could actually sell out in Orlando because one, no one needs to cross a bridge. Two, Disney, you know, Disney World is right there, and also so you have a bunch of tourists coming in already, and and that it was John Fisher's pitch of, oh yeah, we get like 44 million people coming into Vegas more than anyone else. Oh yeah, we'll definitely sell out baseball tickets with that. Oh yeah, and a Sydney Opera House, people will just want to go there just to see it too. You could certainly uh be making sales over there, and no one needs to also no one needs to drive across a bridge. Once again, I'll reiterate that. And it's much closer in for everyone. You're not too out west. You're going a little east there, and even the people of Tallahassee might come down and go see a game because they're not getting on the bridge. But Orlando is one of the cities that many tourists come in, and if you want to sell baseball globally, you should put a team in Orlando because because of the tourism. That is my argument there. So we've got that. We've got Wisconsin. We have Minnesota in there. Michigan's got a team. Missouri has two teams. New Orleans. I think that New Orleans is not quite ready yet. They're still rooting for either the Rays or they're rooting for the Rangers or the Astros. They'll be rooting for someone, and I don't think they've got enough of a market demand to go there. Oklahoma City, they've been rooting for Texas teams for too long. I think the Astros and the Rangers would vote against a expansion team over there, or even maybe even a relocation if one of them left because muscling in. But I think that it would still be a good place. The Thunder have succeeded well there. I think it would not be a bad idea to give it a test run in uh, OKC. So there's that. Now let's get to the Canadian markets. The last two cities on this list. Vancouver. Okay, so Vancouver has had the Canucks since the 70s. They had the Grizzlies for um, I think nearly 20 years. So they did succeed, even though it was a bad relocation to Memphis. And maybe I'll talk about Memphis, but I don't think they're big enough. Just to clear the ways, Memphis is not big enough to hold an MLB stadium, MLB franchise, and they barely have enough of a market share with the Grizzlies, and no one really pays attention to the Grizzlies. So there's your opinion on Memphis. But Vancouver could certainly still be the rival that you seek. The Now the Supersonics and the Grizzlies did get to play each other in the NBA back in the day, and now in the NHL, the Kraken and the Canucks going at it. Two, you could create another rivalry between the Mariners and whoever comes into the AL West. You could certainly make another AL West team out there if you wanted to go west there, and Seattle would not have to be the one traveling all the time to go. In the Pacific Northwest, wouldn't need to be schlepping all the time because you would have those series with those five or six series with each other, and you save on gas too. So there's that. In Montreal Olympic Stadium, I think that there is still the issue of playing in a dome. We may never see another domed team again because the Rays had the whole Tropicana stadium roof destroyed, and now, and I would not be surprised if we never saw another domed uh, MLB team play in a dome again, or at least one that was not a retractable roof. I think the if Montreal wants to get a team, they're going to need to. Um, I think that roof barely opened anyway, but I think you're going to need a new stadium or you're going to need to refurbish Olympic Stadium. But I think that Montreal would be the one city that they get an MLB team back, and it is a shame that the Expos left the way they did. And had they won that '94 World Series, had there been a '94 World Series, I think you would have seen Bartolo Colon win a World Series much sooner. But I think the Expos leaving was not good at all. It it left a sour taste in Montreal fans too. This city could host an NBA team already because of the Bell Center, but I think the MLB should consider it as well. You are trying to grow the game across the world. You need to have either Vancouver or Montreal as your representative, and it would also be nice to just have baseball being broadcasted in a different language, French too, because you know most most French people do not watch baseball or participate in baseball unless you know and it would encourage growth of the game too, and you're reaching a new type of audience, and if those out in France wanted to view it, they could also view it because you'd have a French broadcaster as well, and you would open up new jobs too. And I guess you'd have it in English and French as well. But I think Montreal needs the Expos back, or they need the Rays to relocate. That would be that would also be a good idea. There's been a lot of talk of the Rays going there and being the Montreal Rays, but I think Montreal needs a team, and I think that we do need to look at getting to 32 teams overall. That's my personal take on expansion and relocation. Comment, like, and subscribe, and share this with your friends. Also, subscribe to my baseball Substack. Peace out.